Okay. So a couple days ago, a Republican representative and Freedom Caucus member Rod Blum fled an interview with a reporter. Like, just jumped up mid-interview, just hauled ass, just, oh, I got shit to do, I'm out of here. So why did this happen? What would cause an elected a member of the House of Representatives to suddenly cut off an interview with a reporter, leap to his feet, and run from the room like his fucking hair was on fire? Well, as it turns out, the reporter was asking him, depending how you look at it, I'm sure, I'm sure in Representative Blum's opinion, it was an outrageous question. But here's what happened. So this is an article off of Yahoo. I'm heavily quoting from here. So what was going on is that Representative Blum started to require attendees of his town hall meetings to show identification and to verify where they lived. Because according to them, they don't want any out of town professional protesters coming in and disrupting things. So during the interview, he was asked about this, and Representative Blum stated that we want people from the 1st District to be at our town halls. We don't want people from outside the 1st District. We don't need people from Chicago here, or Des Moines here, or Indianapolis, or Minneapolis here. Sorry. Never mind that both Chicago and Minneapolis are not even in his state. But, whatever. Someone could make the case, and the reporter says, then responds, well, someone can make the case that you represent all Iowans, and the decisions you make impact all Iowans. And so shouldn't all Iowans have a voice at the table? And to that, Blum responded, I don't represent all Iowans. I represent the 1st District of Iowa. That'd be like saying shouldn't I be able, even if I live in Topeka, to go vote in Iowa City during an election because I'd like to vote in that district instead. Basically saying, oh, well, it's the same thing if you do that, then, it's the same thing as if saying, oh, well, I want to go vote in that district during the election instead of the one I live in, which I don't really see what the deal would be even with that, because, if they're voting once, they're voting once. Anyway. But anyway, that's not the point. What happened, where it gets interesting, is the next statement. The reporter asked, would you still take donations from a Republican in Iowa City? It was like, basically, okay, well, we don't want people from out of district, but would you still accept donations from out of district? And it was at that point that Rod Blum stood up, ripped off his microphone, saying that this is ridiculous, and stormed out. Tail put firmly between his legs. What a puss. Seriously, if you're going to, this is it's amazing when you see this too, and there are other examples. In fact, one I'll mention later, or go into more detail later, where a reporter was arrested for asking Tom Price a question. When you're in a situation where the Republicans have placed themselves, where you're trying to get rid of extremely popular programs, and a lot of the country is pissed at you for it, you're going to get some tough questions. And this is how you handle it. You cannot take any kind of serious question whatsoever, because their fucking arguments evaporate, just fall apart. Which is makes it all the worse that they have been beating the Democrats' asses in recent elections. I mean, seriously. One tough question, and we'll see the problem too with that, though, is that were a Democrat to make that statement, the same issue still applies to them. That is why, also too, on a little side note, that is why really interesting questions never get asked at debates. That's why you never hear a candidate at a debate say, okay, well, you support, you want to say get rid of the ACA because you feel it would be better for Americans. And this is why you never hear him say anything like, oh, well, then I'm sure it has nothing to do with the, $500,000 that you've gotten from the insurance industry. Because they're getting that money too. But anyway, back on subject here. Basically, the point of this is that, he ripped off his mic, he stormed out. I'll link to the video in the description. I don't really want to play it here because of copyright issues. I don't know. I've noticed some weird thing with some of my videos when I feature a video clip. Sometimes, for whatever reason, those just get like 0. Like, no one ever sees them. I don't know. Anyway, I'll put a link to the video in the description. It's hilarious. So, the point is basically, okay, yeah, he doesn't want the out-of-towners coming in and meddling with the affairs of the 1st District, but, he'll take that out-of-town money. In fact, I mean, and that got me wondering. He'll jump on that money like you wouldn't believe. It doesn't matter where it if it comes from outside. Oh, well, it's freedom of speech. They're speaking with me through the spirit of Ben Franklin. Speak some more. I'm listening. So, yeah, that okay, it's nationwide. I represent the nation. But anyway, that got me wondering. Because, see, that's basically... 1 second. Because that's basically where the article ends. Like, oh, look at this putz. He just, ripped his mic off and stormed out. Which is honestly kind of disappointing to me, because honestly, they could have pursued this a little bit farther. For example, what I'm about to do. I went and looked up the FEC, or Federal Election Commission, records, financial records, for Representative Blum. And I found out something interesting. They're required to submit paperwork showing, information on their donors, how much money they raise, and whatnot. Now, for the first quarter of 2017, Representative Blum, out of a list of 35 donors, only has 11 in his own state. Now let's go down that list a bit. Let's see what we got. Where does his money come from? Where are those out-of-towners, those no-good out-of-towners that are giving him money? Where are they at? Are they in Iowa? No, actually. Only 11 were even in his state out of 35. And of that 11, only one of them was in, the top of the list. There's, the majority of them were, lower down amounts. But anyway, let's go through some of his funding here. Now, for the first quarter of 2017, Representative Blum has officially raised, I believe it was about $48,000. I'll read some of get you some of the highlights here. Top donor, $14,100 from the Freedom Works PAC in Virginia. $8,001 from House Freedom Fund in Virginia. $5,400 from a board member of College Loan Corporation in Nevada. Oh, look at that. $4,000 from Dupuque. Dubuque. That's too many fucking U's. Too many U's, okay. But anyway, I actually looked. That town is actually in his district, so good for you. Supporting your local congressman. I continue. Let's see. I'll just read off some of the states. $2,700. Now, here's something interesting, too. Every one of these is suspiciously at the limit for an individual contributor. But anyway, we have $2,700 from California, $2,700 from New Jersey, $2,700 from Virginia, $2,700 from Nevada, $2,700 from Illinois, $2,700 from Pennsylvania, another one, $2,700 from Pennsylvania, $2,700 from Florida, $2,700 from Philly, $2,700 from Houston, and then we finally actually get to a few from Iowa. So, this is, of course, a very common, extremely common occurrence for political, for government representatives and elected officials. That, okay, they only represent, I represent this one district of my constituents. If you're not in that district, then, go fuck yourself. Unless you want to give money, and then just bring it in, come on. Just, I represent everyone in America when it comes to you giving me money. And it's just a fucking joke. It's just, and that is why. And honestly, I am surprised, and I am very, very glad that reporter actually did that. And actually, for once, finally asked someone a tough question. And hopefully it will happen a lot more often. Because this is something that, hell, honestly, I still think would be plenty of areas for corruption to get in. But if they wanted to do something like, say, okay, well, you can contribute to your representative, but you have to be in their district to do it, I wouldn't even be as upset about that. The thing is, that's the idea. It's like, okay, unless you live in that district, you can't vote for that person because they don't represent you. However, if you live in, Topeka, Kansas, you can pay money to that representative. You can influence how much they can spend on their campaign, how much money they have for advertising and for campaigning, for events, for everything else. You can influence that, but you can't vote for them, even though they don't represent you, but you can't vote for them because they can't represent you, or because they don't represent you. Seems a little one-sided to me. So, anyway, like I said, I will post a link to the video below. Go take a look. It's hilarious. And I will see you next time. So make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and have a good one.